All right, what do you say about the people who said the Palestinians are worse off after attacking Israel? Therefore, this was not a good, not wise, not beneficial, and may have even been harmful. This is what I'll say. It's not just about, are the Palestinians better off? It's also about, are the Israelis worse off? Because you don't just improve yourself, you also destroy your enemy. You need to bring down your enemy. So the question is, what is the status of Israel now? Guaranteed 100%. They're now so hated in the world right now. There's no discussion about it. They are so despised by any country that's experienced any colonization, any poverty, or any hardship, despises them. They themselves have lost any sense of any moral ground. They themselves have a derangement syndrome in the attempt to justify. They have genocide derangement syndrome. That's what they have now. Ben Shapiro's attempts to justify this war are ridiculous. It's not going unnoticed. It's very noticeable. And history will not judge these people with any kindness at all whatsoever. Every single one of them, from Piers Morgan to Netanyahu himself to every supporter in between. History will be a very tough judge on all of them. So where is your enemy is also a question you have to ask. Secondly, who did this? Not an elected government. So let the Palestinians decide the limit. Let the Palestinians be the ones who judge whether this is worth it or not, or whether we should have done it or not. I haven't seen, have you seen, Omar, any Palestinians condemning Hamas? So why are you worried so much about it? And we have some of these people who have the nerve, and as imams, allegedly saying that what the Palestinians did, they did it to themselves, and this was not wise. So what do you expect? Victory without any sacrifice? And I'm not telling the Palestinians what to do and to go and make sacrifice. I'm not going to tell anyone to make a sacrifice I haven't made myself. They're the ones to decide, and they've decided. And if they didn't decide, then let's ask a simple question. Show me a Palestinian who says that we should have not done anything to Israel. Show me one person in Gaza who has lost or hasn't lost, or they all have lost everything. Homes, relatives. Show me one who is against what's happening here and who blames Hamas for what his enemies have done. When Allah Ta'ala tells us, لِيَغِيظَ بِهِمُ الْكُفَّارِ, to antagonize your enemy. Why did Allah say to antagonize your enemy? Because when they're antagonized, they don't behave properly. They lose their intellect. They don't behave right. And then they destroy themselves. Do you think Israel is ever coming out of this? As I've said before, they have now painted themselves permanently as the global antagonists, as evil empire. But the nerve of some of these people saying that, look at the result, like blaming them. You're not in the position to do that. Let them blame themselves. And I have the same thing about every culture out there who's suffering in some way, shape, and form, or it's the arrogance, the presumptuousness. This is what I hate about Americans coming and telling Muslim countries how to treat each other and how do you treat your women? Why don't you just stay out of it, right? You got your own problems. Look at your women. They're not exactly paragons of perfection either. You're not going to have women soon from the declining birth rates in your countries, which are all messed up. So the presumptuousness of people to come and tell the Palestinians what they did right or wrong when they're suffering like this. Let them interpret it. All right, let them be the judges of how much they want to go after Israel. According to the United Nations, I saved it here somewhere. Let's get it exactly. What is the United Nations right to resist occupation? Based on the Charter, the 1970 United Nations General Assembly Resolution 2625, easy number to memorize, explicitly endorses a right to resist subjection of peoples to alien subjugation, domination, and exploitation. It's in Wikipedia under Right to Resist. Resolution 2625. Now, does it say how to resist? And one person from H group was blamed to say, okay, but you killed some innocent people in this thing. And the answer to that is, well, the way he answered it, at least, he said that we tried not to, right? We tried not to, but it happened. And it may happen. But you also, why are you telling us this? Because they do the same thing and have been doing the same thing from 1948. 1948, that means in 4 years, it'll be 80 years, if my math is right. In only 4 years, it will have been 80 years since the Nakba, and where you have great-grandmothers carrying their children, walking on roads, not knowing where to go, not having a home anymore. And that's when they were migrating to Gaza. Most people don't realize Gaza is mostly immigrants from the Nakba. Not immigrants, but non-Ghazawis. They moved from the greater part of Palestine, and they all jammed either in the West Bank or in Gaza in 1948. Now they're moving somewhere else, and it's their great-grandchildren who are moving. So that baby in the Nakba pictures was the grandmother of the people, of the adults today. And that adult today, that grandchild, now has a baby. So how many generations are that now? The Nakba, look at these pictures. I'm looking at the computer here. Almost going to pull it up right now. If you made this in color, you wouldn't know what year we're in. Put this picture, if this picture was in color, you wouldn't know what year we're talking about. Is this today? Is this 1948? So we're 76 years later, the same thing is happening. But see that woman right there? And then that child. That child is the grandparent of the people today. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations. And you have a woman today, you can find a same picture, woman today walking with a baby. And in between lived somebody who probably lived through all the wars of the 60s and the 70s. Six-Day War, 1967, and then those changes of those borders, and lived that through that misery, where they thought Arab nationalism may be the solution, and Yasser Arafat may do something. That was the child of that child that you see in this picture right here. That's the third generation. That woman who came about in the 70s and the 80s now has a child, and that's the adult of today. And that adult of today has a baby. 5 generations now have been facing this.